時を待つんだ。そのありかは未来の科学者のもとへ。
いただくぜ白夜。てめえの何十年。あたい千金のお宝をな。
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're now covering the third season of the Dr. Stone anime called New World.
Yes, and after the events of the Ryusuji
Hopefully if you're saying that right.
Which was fantastic, the Kingdom of Science prepares to travel the seas to find the origin of the petrification ray and return with more revival fluid to restore humanity.
Yes, and before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, click occasionally on future podcasts and well-done past videos.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining us. Welcome to our channel. Thank you for subscribing and supporting us. We appreciate you so much, and thank you for following us on social media.
Yeah.
Twix.
Yes.
Twitter X.
Right.
Pinterest and Instagram. We're on there. Follow us.
Yes, absolutely. So, yes, this finally came to air on Toonami.
Yes, and for those of you who may not be familiar with Dr. Stone, it's a manga series written by Ryusuji Anagaki and illustrated by South Korean artist Boichi. It was serialized from 2017 to 2022 in Shueisha's Shonen Jump. And the manga itself has 26 volumes. And the anime series, as we mentioned, this is season 3 we're covering. And it's going to be going into season 4. It's being renewed.
Yes, for one more season. Season 4 will be the final season. Not the final season, just final.
Right.
So, here you've seen our podcast only for the first 2 seasons and the Ryusuji special. This one entailed to be even bigger, as now they've won the Stone Wars.
And if you haven't watched it, what are you waiting from? Watch Sylveon's Man.
Right? They travel across the ocean to find out where this petrification thing had come from. And they start getting clues that they were not the only people still alive on the planet. And sure, they end up coming across this other tribe. But what I think to me is the funniest thing how they get there is that they say, oh, they're just going to build a ship. And it's looking like, what? Oh, you mean like a sailboat? No, I mean an actual ship. Like the ships that you used to have in the modern world. And they're like, you want us to build all that. Build the wood, build the raft, build all this. And yes, they actually end up doing it. And you're like, okay, you should be like in charge of building this from the ground up at this point. And it's one of the most hilarious things now they actually managed to pull off making a giant Titanic-like ship.
Now, the third season actually was split into 2 cores.
Okay.
11 episodes each, and the first part aired from April to June in 2023, and the second part aired October to December 21st of last year.
Right.
And we couldn't wait to see the rest of it on Toonami. It was taking too long. We started there, but we went ahead and finished it on Crunchyroll, watching it, the last of it in Japanese.
Yeah, they started spoiling
because we just couldn't wait because there kept being breaks for holidays.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, it's taking too long. Just finish it.
Yeah.
And season 4 is going to be wild.
It is. I can't wait to see how it ends, really.
And this season also got wild. It got kind of dark.
Darker than usual, yeah.
You kept seeing Senku using the petrification fluid to save people so that they could be revived and healed.
Right.
And there was a lot of that this season. There was a lot of petrification and unpetrifying, and that was the only part of the season I could say that was a little irritating because it kept petrifying, unpetrified, petrifying, unpetrified. By the third time, we were like, how many times are you going to do this?
And then you had to make sure it didn't get broken because the person that was doing it was breaking the statues to pieces or putting them in the water so they couldn't reform and be revived because they were really distasteful towards people they didn't like. And it just became a really intense season when it got to the actual meat of it.
What I do like is some of the secondary characters got moved up to where they were more like main characters.
Right.
Because they had bigger roles in the plans they were unfolding to get that petrification ray. And the voice actors got to have more time, the characters got to do more. There was some hilarious ones, like, I'm going to call him Deku because that's all I can call him. His character dressed as a woman.
Yes.
Because they needed 3 women.
Right,
And
they
they only had 2, so he dressed as a woman and passed as a woman. And of course, the chief liked him.
Right, it's like, and every time they got the guy in the drag pretending, they always want that one. It's like, why do you people keep doing that in these shows? Not the women here, like, oh, I want that one. It's like, that's not a woman.
So we really got to have more screen time this
Yes,
season.
definitely.
And I really liked it. So did Magma.
Right, and Kohaku, right?
Yes.
Yes, all 3 of them actually up their status as main characters. You're absolutely right. And especially since one of them is Sylveon's favorite, seeing that come to life is really great. And it's not just all on Senku or Zen and these other characters you've seen already be in the spotlight for so long. So I like that they're finding ways that the characters still remain important to the story.
Definitely. And the animation changed somewhat.
Yeah, throughout the season. The drawings aren't as sharp when it gets to the second half of the season. They looked a little softer, especially when it gets to the last episode of the season, where a few of the characters that were absent for a while came back and they were completely different looking. And a lot of them that you knew were either very muscular or very toned or something. They kind of made them be skinnier. They reduced a lot of the detail on them. They made them less defined in the face to the point where they look like different characters or they're giving off a different vibe. And we don't know if it's because, depending on the studio behind it, were they working on other things? Could they not get it done in time? They were rushing or something? Or the person just not, this person doing the art is not good at doing masculine or muscle drawings. Don't really know, but it did affect the viewing a little bit because you see him looking one way for 2 seasons in a special. Then you get to this, and then the second half, it suddenly dips in the quality of the animation.
Last 2 episodes.
Yeah, to the point where you're wondering, like, what happened?
So this season we learned about the Medusa raid.
Yes.
And it looks like 2 interjoining circles.
Right.
And that's what's being used, at least where they are, to petrify people.
Right.
And now for season 4, they're going to find out who's on the moon and who did the petrification all over the world.
Right.
But back to this season. So you have, of course, an evil, power-hungry chieftain.
Of course,
who's
yeah.
been using it at his leisure, and he's really evil. And
Yeah.
He's a jerk.
He seems like he's a joke or something, but no, he's really maniacal and scheming and devious, very much so. And what also attribute to that is the fact that this season also really wasn't talked about as it was airing. And with this new villain here, you kind of thought they would be, or maybe because they lost interest because Tsukasa was no longer one of the main focuses of the story. You had this whole new guy who was just despicable. And when it came out,
his henchman, so to speak.
Right.
I think his name was Moss, if I'm wrong.
I think so, and he, oh gosh, he was up front. Oh, the second I get a chance, I'm gonna wipe you all out in one go. And he was about to do it.
And he considers himself a ladies' man. They kind of made his design look like Tsukasa in the face, but he's just not likable.
Right.
And he was telling Kohaku she's cute, and he was gonna get her, and he just
oh,
wanted to
please
sleep
stop.
with all the pretty and cute women.
Yeah.
Except for Deku.
Right.
But he is untrustworthy, can't be trusted, and they're smart enough to know he's going to stab him in the back as soon as he gets a chance. So they were prepared for him,
Yeah.
which was really smart, and I really liked that part. He thought he was going to take advantage of it, and he didn't get to do that.
Right, exactly. And with a lot of this going on in this season, I think the break also attributed to it being not so popular, because when it came out, we barely saw anybody talk about it, whether it be on Toonami or Crunchyroll, which was a hashtag. It wasn't really coming up. And there started being videos and discussion. They said, why is no one talking about the third season? It's almost like it's not there. There is no hype. What happened to all the hype Dr. Stone had the first 2 seasons of special? It's just like season 3 has never went on.
Right.
And you got people that did watch it and talk about, oh, it's coming on today, came with a new episode, it returns this week, it's back from break or something. But after that, it goes back to being kind of silent. And it's not because, you know, we're trying to avoid spoilers or anything, which we are, but it was really odd.
Spoiler alert, we already told, so I'm sorry.
Right. And it's really weird with that because we were used to seeing all of these Dr. Stone posts and about the characters and the favorite scenes and everything. Suddenly just see it go silent the whole season, aside from when it was coming back or having the finale. It felt odd. Like they said, it felt like there was just no more hype for it anymore. Only because they had Shibuya arc, or because they had Demon Slayer, or they had Chainsaw Man.
Because some people were fans of Tsukasa being the villain, and because he was out until the last episode, maybe they weren't interested in seeing them with another villain, but that's their loss because it did work. The storyline worked. It was good. The only thing, again, that we found too much of was them using the Medusa
over and over. Yeah, that did get old. But aside from that, it was a really good season. And now it says for whatever the last season's gonna be, and them going to space, you know it's gonna be something wild.
Well, first they're selling to America. And then from America, they're going to get all the materials they need to build a rocket ship. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
So they can go to the moon.
And they're like, what?
They hear a broadcast of Senku's voice, and he has no idea how it's gotten there.
Right.
And so now they want to go to the moon like Artemis Fowl and find out who's doing it.
Right.
So it's gotten ridiculous now, if that's how you want to think. Yes, but it's a fun ridiculous.
Yeah.
So if you've loved season 3, the first half was released in July of 2023, and the second half was released in February of 2024.
Yeah, it was a real big gap, yeah. And definitely still watch the show. It does start off a little slow, and it takes a while for them to really get started in the plot because the first few episodes is dedicated to them gathering tools, getting supplies, getting food that will be long-lasting, rationable, setting out the map, getting ready to go and everything. It takes about 2 to 3 episodes for them to finally head out into the sea. Oh, and pick people who are going to be useful to them going. So it takes a while for it to finally get started with them going to their destination. And I think to me is the part that no one got to see the little blurb they did for a minute or two, where they had Senku as like Jack Sparrow or something. I was like, I want to see that.
Yes. So because they kept petrifying some of the people over and over, they didn't have as much, again, screen time. And again, that allowed the secondary characters to have more of a place in front.
Right.
And that could be another reason that people weren't really interested, because the main characters they liked weren't there. But again, it's worth watching. And they had this character called Francois, Ryusuji's butler and chef. And for the entire season, the gender is indeterminate. And in the last episode, you find out the gender.
Yeah.
And we weren't sure why they put it in there. I don't think anyone cared.
No,
you like the character.
I think
you like the rapport between Francois and Ryusuji.
Yeah.
And then Francois became helpful. They got to eat all this delicious food.
Right.
And they end up liking Francois. So I don't think anyone cared. You didn't even have to tell.
Right.
At the end of the season, nobody cared. You liked the character.
Right. And they actually made a point of it twice, where it's like, oh, the gender doesn't matter. Francois is amazing no matter what. Yeah, okay, great, but why did you have to tell us the gender doesn't matter? You should have just kept saying Francois. You're like, okay, we're not supposed to know the gender, but all of this was in the Japanese as well, and it just translated into the dub. But Japan has had that for a little while now, like with Najimi, having a character you don't know the gender, you're supposed to love the character regardless. But why do you keep telling me I have to do that? I should just be watching the character like, okay, so this is like Najimi. Okay, we'll just see the character as is. If they decide to reveal it, we'll find out. And that's it. I don't think telling us is necessary. Just let us see the character and come to our own conclusion.
And then lastly, there were some lines that were spoken that you know were specifically written for American audience. You know there was no way it was in the Japanese. And those particular lines that were written for America could have been left out. I'm not sure what the opinion is the translators had for America, but sometimes the things they write are unnecessary, especially when it becomes foul language or really
or something a little slightly
suggestive,
or
heavily suggestive, or in some cases it ends up being insulting and it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
And I think that could have been left out as well. But other than that, season is great. Looking forward to 4. 4 is going to be a wild ride. We've already told you about the rocket coming to America, the change in the animation for some of the characters. For example, so you don't get such a shock, Tsukasa, in the first 2 seasons, he was really big, really tall, huge guy, very masculine. And when he's revived, he's no longer looking masculine.
Right,
and it can't be because of the reviving fluid. Because if that's the case, none of the other characters they revived would have been as masculine and muscly or looked the same way. Everybody would, or being as heavy or chubby, they would have all been thin.
Right.
So for some reason they decided to do a change in Ryusuji. They did a change for Tsukasa and some other characters. Magma, they suddenly were not large anymore. We don't know why. If you guys know, let us know in the comments below.
Right.
But if you've seen season 3 of Dr. Stone, let us know what you think. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was mid? Let us know what you think. And if you haven't seen it, it's available on Crunchyroll to watch. I think it's all being available translated, so now you can see it in dub or sub, your choice.
Right.
And give it a watch if you haven't. If you thought it was going to be disappointing and you thought it's something you didn't want to check out this year, go ahead and watch it. You will enjoy it.
Right.
Absolutely.
And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and leave videos, favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Yes, and again, thank you so much for your support, for subscribing. If you want us to check out your channel, let us know in the comments below. If you want us to cover your favorite anime we haven't covered, let us know in the comments below.
Yes.
Read a manga, same thing. And last but not least, don't forget to follow us on Pinterest, Instagram, and Twitter X. We're on Twitter every single day.
Right.
Check us out. Contact us through DM. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes. So, thank you so much for watching Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm on Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.